It's harvest time in South Africa, and so this week on Dan Really Likes Wine with Norman Goodfellows, I thought I'd find out a bit more about the process. How does harvest work when you decide to start it? And what happens to the grapes like these once they're out of the vineyard? Well, I thought I'd drop in on Jordan, firstly because I love the wine, and secondly because Sjaak Nelson, the winemaker, has been here for more than 2 decades and knows both these vineyards and the harvest process as well as anyone. Sjaak, it's lovely to be back at Jordan, especially during harvest time. How many harvests is it now for you?
It's at Jordan 25.
That's a
25,
fair
years.
record.
Yeah.
But you're somebody who looks about 35 is even more impressive, really.
Yeah, I did start when I was 14, so it's slave labor, child labor.
Does it still get you excited, nervous, wound up this time of year?
So we're taking quite a few new things this year, so a little bit of nerves, but very much exciting. I mean, I can't wait for the first grapes to get into the cellar. You get that, like a first date nervousness, and then as soon as it's in, it's in. So yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah, always.
For most of us, the understanding is fairly simple, fairly broad. It's time to harvest, the grapes must be ready, we'll pick them and we'll make some wine, and then it is in a bottle. It sounds like it's quite easy to do. It's a little more complicated than that. Let's start with the first spot. How do you decide when it's time for the grapes to come off?
So it's obviously we look at historic, what we did the year before, dates and all that, and then we sort of every week we go into the vineyards, we'll pick some samples, we look at the veraison, when it happened, and we just taste test, and when we think it's really close to coming in, we'll take in a block like we are now, which is one of the only old vine Cabernet in South Africa. We'll take a whole bunch of samples in different rows, we'll squash the sample and do analysis. We'll first taste it to taste if it tastes ready. If it tastes ready, we'll do analysis and see the sugar, the pH, and the acid. And from there on, we'll make a decision if it's ready to come in or not. But it's important to taste first and then look at the analysis, so you're not swayed by maybe sugar and you bring it in on a sugar-based analysis where it's not tasting phenolic ripe, or so you need to make that judgment. It's all about tasting phenolic ripe.
And for that tasting, is that just experience? Is that just, yeah, I think that tastes right? And what does tasting right actually mean?
Yeah, so you need to you don't want any greenness. So all greenness must be completely gone. The pips in the grapes must be brown. And yeah, it just needs to taste like, it could almost be, if you close your eyes and add alcohol, it should be tasting like a wine. So, I mean, being at one spot for 25 years, you start to know your blocks. Every you taste it, you make notes, and it's just, as soon as you taste it, you know. It's all about experience. So if you hop around from farm to farm, it's difficult to build up that experience. So it's good to stay at one spot as long as possible.
For the grapes you have here, these are almost 40 years old. It's a very special block of Cabernet Sauvignon. How do these get picked? How do you make sure that these grapes get to your cellar in pristine condition?
So we go through, if you look at the floor, you'll see lots of grapes on the floor. So we go through any grape with a blemish or a bunch of blemish, or doesn't look perfectly, went through horizon, we'll pick it, drop it on the floor.
So is that all hand picked then?
It's all hand picked, so people will go through, cut it down on the floor, and then later on we'll come through and then select all the best bunches. So we vineyard sort. I believe in sorting out everything in the vineyards. Then it's so much easier when you hand pick to go into the cellar and you have extremely good quality grapes.
You've got a little bit of help from 2 reasonably experienced wine people, a lady called Kathy and a guy called Gary. How much of a role do the Jordans play in working with you in this harvest process?
Yeah. So Gary is our vineyard guy. He is very much involved in the vineyards. He makes sure everything is pristine. He just planted another 11 hectares of vines now with Robert Stork, our vineyard manager. Yeah, and Kathy she's mostly based in the UK now because we have the winery in the UK as well. So she looks after operations on that side, and Gary's up and down every month, literally every month, up and down to come and sort out, looking after the vineyards, making sure everything is pristine. You can try and make the best wine you can, but the vineyard management is the best, must be the best. As Gary always say, you can take the best grapes, bring it into the winery, and mess it up in the winery. So
Well, that rarely happens because you've got terrific vines, you've got a wonderful team, and everything here is ready to go through to the cellar. So if it's okay with you, let's head over to the cellar and see how the next part of the winemaking process works.
do that.
There we go. The education of Dan continues. I will be a winemaker by the end of the day. It's a Saturday morning, and so the cellar is very quiet here at Jordan. Normally it would be a buzz of activity, but everyone is having a well-deserved day off, with one exception, the poor winemaker I've dragged out of bed to come and film with me nice and early. This time of year, any other day of the week, this would be packed with people, packed with grapes, packed with the energy that harvest is all about.
Yes, yeah. Normally this will be buzzing with people, getting barrels ready. We're standing in the underground cellar where all the white grapes come in and mature. So yeah, everyone will be busy rolling barrels and stacking barrels like the stacks behind us, burnt sulfur wicks in the barrels. This was done yesterday as well. Yeah, so not too busy today. Gives me time to think and do the real work with not a lot of people running around. So
we know that a lot of the sorting is done in the vineyard, so by the time the grapes arrive here, you've pretty much got what you want. You're happy with that. What's the process then? They've come through the door. What happens next?
Yeah. So depending on the grape, we'll destem the grapes. It will go into either open fermenter, where we'll do some punch downs, or all our Cabernet and Merlot will put in an overhead fermenter, where we'll do pump overs every day. So 3 times a day, and sometimes for fun, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, just to get the interns ready for life. It's the only way we can get them to understand life is to work in the middle of the night.
So my wife is a lawyer, and she often talks about those early junior days when you're expected to work 29 hours a day and bill 35 hours a day, and that's how their process works. I think the days of harvest are even more intense because you don't really have any option. You have to get everything done.
Yeah. So you can't pick hours. The grapes pick the hours, and the sun pick the hours. So yeah, and it likes to pick a Saturday and a Sunday, favorite time of the week to decide it's ready to come into the cellar. And we don't have days. As soon as harvest starts, we said, okay, we declare the end of days as an executive decision signed by not Donald Trump, but Gary Jordan.
Pretty interchangeable, I've always
thought. They look very similar. And it's one long day. It starts at Monday and it ends at Sunday evening, 12 o'clock. It's 24/7 right through from Monday till Sunday, and that's our day. So a week becomes a day. So
you've got so much to juggle when you're doing this, because as grapes come in, so there are grapes that are already in that will need to have attention, might need to move to a tank or into a barrel. How mad, crazy, chaotic is that juggle, and how do you make it work? How do you not forget? Oh, I forgot that Chardonnay. I was supposed to do something with it yesterday. How does that all work?
Yeah, it's all to planning. So there's lots of sitting down, lots of planning. I've got an amazing assistant, Kim. She started off as an intern. Very nice ginger girl. She decided I'm not gonna go anywhere, and she decided to stay on. She helps all the planning. We've got Donovan Daniels, is one of my main cellar guys. So he sometimes gives class at Elsenburg, very well informed and trained. So with all the knowledge of the staff, it's quite easy to juggle. One team takes on the racking of wine, one team takes on processing of wine, and then you have one guy, me normally, that is in between and just make sure everything happens at the right time when it's supposed to, and you don't mix Merlot with Chardonnay or Cabernet with Sauvignon Blanc.
You could have some great rosés that you stumbled
So
upon accidentally.
I mean, our chameleon was made by accident. It was Cabernet pumped into the Merlot by accident, and we got an amazing chameleon. And the blend became later on the Cab d'Azil from the best vineyards. So accidents happen, and it's always upsetting, but it might turn on to something great. So end up at an auction somewhere, making lots of money.
Well, hopefully not too many of them this year during the harvest.
No.
Although it is quiet, although there's not much happening, I'd still like to get my hands a little dirty. Is there anything I can do today that makes me feel like I'm part of this harvest, and years to come, when you look back on 2025 and a bottle of Jordan, I can proudly say, yes, I was part of that.
Yeah, we've got some early ripening varieties in the cellar. Got some Pinotage that needs a nice punch down. So that was my job for today. But I think it's your job for today. Let's go and see if you can put on your swimming shorts and get in the tank.
The smile on your face says this is going to be a very tough job, but I shall take it on as my training to become the new assistant, junior, deputy, trainee, intern winemaker at Jordan continues. It's harvest season in the Cape, and I decided I wanted to be part of the winemaking process so I can take as much credit as possible for having spent 12 minutes in the cellar over the course of the 2025 vintage coming to life. And so I asked Sjaak Nelson, the winemaker at Jordan, who's been here for 25 years, what I could do to help out. And because winemakers are a fairly horrible lot, he's given me the toughest job of them all. Sjaak, these are punch downs. Now, this is not something that happens in a car park in Kempton Park on a Friday night. This is quite an important process in terms of wine. What am I doing and why am I doing it?
Okay, so this is slightly less dangerous than Kempton Park, but on a similar level. So as you can see, we've taken this old tank and cut it in half and made it into a nice open fermenter. So we've got Pinotage in here, and well, we normally will do a pump over on a tank just to give it some oxygen to help the fermentation. Pinotage is a different story. It likes some hard crafting, so it needs a bit of punch down. So you need to break the skins, break the cap. You want the cap to be completely submerged under the wine. That helps with color. It helps with extracting that tannin and flavor from the skins. So yeah, we need to get in here and push through those stingles and yeah, get it all the way down. So there is 20% whole bunch in here. So it's not, I gave you the worst tank to punch down. So I don't have to do it. So yeah, you better get cracking.
You have the build and the look of a Scandinavian Olympic wrestler. I am not quite so naturally athletic. This looks worryingly like hard work, Sjaak.
Unfortunately, it is. So that's why you're doing it.
All right, look, I did ask for it. I said I wanted the job. All right, so here we go. Appraise my technique, if you will.
A little bit deeper and a little bit harder.
So do I need to come all the way up to the top?
All the way up, get some oxygen, push it down, break the cap. There you go. Oh, you're a natural winemaker. Yeah, and you can see it's already fermenting. It's got the
bubbles.
CO2 bubbles coming up, and there's some whole bunches coming up.
So how long ago would these grapes have been picked?
That was yesterday morning, and no inoculation. We leave lots of whole bunches, and everything's whole berry. So we like to get carbonic maturation and natural fermentation on the Pinotage. It was picked very low bulling, at about 25, which is unnatural for Pinotage, and it's got a natural acidity of 6.2 and the pH of 3.5, which is very unlike normal Pinotage. This is a very old block from Malmesbury that was discovered and yeah, we were lucky enough to get this into our cellar. So we do this 3 to 4 times a day,
3 to 4 times a day.
the whole tank. So you got another hour to go.
No wonder you look like you do. Oh, this is exhausting. So this is why television is way better than wine, because I get other people to do all the work and I never really have to do anything, which is why this is exhausting.
If you're a winemaker for 25 years, I also get other people to do the work. Like
This
Dan,
being a good
like
example.
Dan Nickel and all my interns.
When was the last time you did a punch down?
Yesterday.
All right. Oh. This has got Platter 6-star written all over it, thanks to the
definitely.
quality of the punch downs here.
Michael Friedjon will give this 98 points. Definitely.
Michael Friedjon will be bathing in this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh, I used to quite like Sjaak Nelson. I really, really don't now. That's almost 40 minutes of punch downs. My arms are about to come off. I've already got a physiotherapist booked for the next week. But I mean, this is a fundamental process.
Yeah.
You can't get around it. It seems almost kind of quaintly traditional, like surely it's something that would have now been replaced by a machine or AI.
Yeah.
So why keep it this way? Why use this particular method?
There is a machine that can do it, but the machine miss and mess. So we prefer doing it. I mean, by doing it yourself, you can see exactly how it's breaking up, how it's coming out. You can see the CO2 coming out. You can get the flavor. A machine can't smell. A machine can't make that AI intelligence decision or to see that now the caps submerge and the work's done well. I know you're pleased with yourself, but we 10 minutes rest, we're doing it all over again, 40 minutes. So don't look too excited. So rest those arms.
Gary Jordan, that job application I sent through, consider it withdrawn. So far this morning at Jordan Wine Estate, I've had a stroll through the vineyards with Sjaak Nelson, the winemaker. I've wandered through the barrel room, getting an idea of how the grapes that come in from the vineyards are translated into the wine we drink today. And then, much against my better judgment, I agreed to do some actual work and had an hour of punch downs in the cellar, which I'll be recovering from for some time. To aid that recovery now, a glass of wine out on the deck and a look ahead at the 2025 vintage to come. Sjaak, do you still marvel when you pick up a glass of your wine at the journey these simple little grapes take to end up as something quite as good as this now glass?
Yeah, I mean, it still blows my mind every time, especially Chardonnay. Chardonnay is my passion. So pick up, especially early in the morning, a glass of Chardonnay.
Breakfast
Really,
of champions.
breakfast of champions. Yeah, just want to touch on the Chardonnay a bit. I'm the chairperson of the Chardonnay Association of South Africa, and our very good friend Michael Friedjon. He came down in November and we launched this whole event. So we've got proudly 85 members, all the top farms joining, and the aim is to make Chardonnay the best Chardonnay in the world. When people think Chardonnay in the UK, they must think South Africa and not some other country where they can't speak English.
Have you had a quiet word with the Burgundian winemakers about this?
We told them about it and they said, war, but since my surname is Nelson and we have this history of Admiral Nelson and Napoleon, there's obviously a clear winner. So history predicted who's going to win. So they said they're going to back off and let me do my job. So we're on it.
Like, South African Chardonnay is going to put up a great fight, because as a white grape, although Chenin Blanc has been the huge success story for some time, I see more and more international wine critics noticing South African Chardonnay and championing it, which leads me into this 2025 harvest. Let's start with the Chardonnay. From what you've seen so far, from the grapes you've bought in, from the grapes that you're about to bring in, how confident are you about the Chardonnay for 2025, and then by extension, the rest of the wine that you're seeing coming out of Jordan this year?
Well, just I need to go back to 2015 when we had that big drought. It really hit the vines quite hard, but had lots of time to recover. It's almost 9 years, and the Chardonnay is just beginning. The yields are getting back to normal, and the berries are smaller. And we tasted some Chardonnays in the vineyards that are phenomenal. I mean, it's really difficult to mess it up in the cellar. So we'll definitely make some amazing Chardonnay this year. We're super excited. There's already lime and zest in the berries, and you can see the ripening is quite even all through the vineyards, which is a sign it's going to be a great vintage. Last year it was getting to that stage, but this year's on par. I'm super excited to get some Chardonnay in and taste it. Especially the bubbly. The bubbly looks good.
So a happy winemaker with Chardonnay and with bubbles. We've been drinking quite a lot of red in the Dan Really Likes Wine cellar of late from you. The cobblers tends to disappear quite quickly the moment my wife gets her hands on it. How are the reds looking for this year?
Oh, reds are, as we were early on in that red block, we had nice variation, even variation, bigger hill than normal. So we did lots of green harvesting to just concentrate that fruit. But yeah, Cabs, Merlots, looks amazing. Cabernet Franc, it's just phenomenal at the moment. It's tasting very good. So I definitely can tell your wife, Cobbler's Hill will be on a different level this year. I think it's going to be one of those outstanding years.
She will be delighted to hear. She's Greek. She doesn't drink white wine, but through her I have fallen in love with Assyrtiko, as has your colleague, Gary Jordan, who I think has an alter ego, Sokrati Jodalidis. He was the first person to bring Assyrtiko in, and he finally had this long-held dream come to life. It's been pretty small amounts thus far. Can we expect a bit more Assyrtiko in 2025?
Yes, we've planted, I think we've got over 4 hectares of Assyrtiko now, and lots of it's coming into production. And this is going to be a bumper year of Assyrtiko. So there's going to be lots for everyone to drink. Not just a selected few, but still, I would say get your name on the wine list, because it flies out of the door. We can't keep up with demand and supply is not equal. So, but we'll do our best.
I'm really excited about trying it. To drink it, of course, you have to make it first, and so I won't keep you away from your cellar any longer, other than to wish you the best of luck, because it is such a special time, and it is the time when all this magic happens. Thank you for giving us an illustration of how those grapes make their way eventually into the bottle, and no thanks for giving me the need to live on Voltaren for the next month.
I'm glad to assist you and get that body back into shape. But remember, Rwanda's also a shape, so don't worry.
Yes, indeed. All right, the punch downs have taken their toll, but I'm offsetting them with a little medicinal Chardonnay. It's not just one of South Africa's most beautiful estates, it's one of South Africa's most revered, and based on the first glimpse of the 2025 harvest, well into the third decade now for Sjaak Nelson. It's going to be another bumper year for Jordan. Cheers.